And welcome to the Marcus and Mike Show, guys, where it is hot and we still wear socks with our sandals. Marcus, how you doing today, man?
Hey, pretty good. What's going on, Michael?
It's a bombing like 103 degrees out here in southern Indiana
Oh
today.
man,
It's
right,
ridiculous. It's humid. There's no wind. I just like
man. It's hot. It's hot here in Texas too, man. Oh my god.
my AC's been going nonstop. I'm like at my house. I step outside to
Right.
do the show. It's just like, man, I want to go back inside. But it is what it is,
Yeah.
man. It is what it is. Speaking of heat, tensions are getting rose. Heat is starting to rise between the Jerry versus Zeke situation here. Elliott's agent came out yesterday and said that he does not appreciate Jerry Jones saying what he said. But I took it as a joke. Marcus, did you take that as a joke as well?
Yeah, it's a little dig, a little joke. You have to know Jerry Jones. He says stuff silly, man. He's been doing that for a long time since he bought the team in 1989. So I mean, Ezekiel Elliott has to know that he's just playing around and he knows that he really loves Zeke. He just doesn't want Zeke at that number that Zeke wants. So
Right.
and the agent I think his name is Arsenault or something. So yeah, his last name is Arsenault. So Mr. Arsenault has to know, man, Zeke's playing around. It's more posturing. It's more like, you know, it's just silly stuff that happens. But a lot of times it'll happen with the Cowboys because Jerry's very silly about it. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think they said there was like disrespected or something. I mean, dude, Ezekiel Elliott and his camp, Mr. Arsenault said they were disrespected. Dude, shut up. You're disrespecting the Cowboys and Jerry Jones by not honoring your contract, at least being on the sideline, and you're in Mexico or wherever you're at.
Right.
You're disrespecting too. So, dude, stop it.
Yeah, and just to add to your point there, Jerry Jones was joking the whole time. Like you could see the smirk on his face, and
Yeah.
he's laughing at like just like afterwards. He's like, "I joke, I joke, I joke." If Jerry Jones did not love Ezekiel Elliott, he would have not have tried to get who's the commissioner now, Roger Goodell,
Roger, Roger
out of
Goodell.
the commissioner seat when they were trying to suspend Zeke
Yeah.
for those 6 games or 4 games or how much it was.
Right.
So clearly, Jerry Jones is on Zeke's side. He knows we need Zeke to like win. Like
Right.
I'm sure he is just tired of answering questions about Zeke. He is tired of when Zeke going to
Yeah.
show up. Well, I offered him $15 million and he said piss on it. So what do you want me to
Yeah.
say? I'm going to make light hard of this situation, meaning so me as an owner, like if I'm making light heart of
Uh-huh.
of a situation, that means that I think we're starting to make some headway. We are still in communication. There's no hatred between
Right.
me and my star guy. Like I still love the guy. I still want the guy. I'm just tired of the freaking media asking me about it. It's simple as that. So
Yeah.
I mean, but like Zeke didn't come out and say he felt disrespected. It was the agent. So
Yeah. He's talking. Yeah, he's talking through the agent. I mean,
well, but
I think
do
I
you
think
think
Zeke
Zeke
knows.
actually
Yeah.
said anything though? Like, or was just
Uh,
or was it just the agent trying to get leverage on this bargaining situation?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think it's the agent just trying to just make some more headlines and
Oh
be like,
yeah,
oh, we were
100%.
disrespectful. Yeah, I mean, Zeke's got to know Jerry by now. He's known him for about 3 years now, or a couple of years, or whatever, however
Right.
long it's been. Yeah,
Well, I mean, and if I'm Zeke agent, the more you're talking about me, the more I'm going to
hmm
be wanted across the league
yeah,
because I'm selling headlines. I can go to a team like the Tennessee Titans, the team that doesn't
okay,
make a lot of headlines. I can go there and I can make the Tennessee Titan front page news because of my fallout with Jerry Jones. So
right,
I think the agent is taking proactive steps to when this deal doesn't get done. That I'm going to be headline news just like Le'Veon Bell was as soon as I switched teams. So my next question to
yeah.
you, Marcus, is this deal going to get done before week one? And if it doesn't, does Jerry Jones have to move Zeke?
Great question. I mean, we're about to hit into some scary times here. I personally think it will get done. But I think Jerry Jones is going to stick to his guns. I don't think he's going to give him Todd Gurley money, 14, 15 million a year. I think he's set on about that 12, 13 range, the Le'Veon Bell range.
Right.
And if Zeke doesn't accept that, this could get a little scary. and he might get upset and move Zeke. He might. Jerry can go from playful and joyful, and you know, and all of a sudden, a few weeks later, flip that switch. Either Jerry's gonna be pissed and pay him what he wants, or he's gonna be pissed and he's gonna trade him.
Right.
So that's gonna be very, very interesting here in a couple of weeks here.
So before I give you my take on this, what do you think a valuable trade would be for Zeke? Couple first round picks, a first and second and
Um,
third, or
it depends on if we get a good running back in return. So that would lower the pick value, but easily a first. Zeke is worth a first round pick. I know running
100%.
backs aren't. I know running backs aren't like the first round pick type. So he's not a quarterback. He's not even a defensive end, or you might not get two firsts, but you might get like a first and a third or something for Zeke and a player. But it depends on the player. I just like I think we talked about this in the past. I mean, Melvin Gordon for Zeke, and then we'd have to take the Chargers like second round pick at least.
right?
So that's a good deal.
Do you think the Chargers would offer him late or Todd Gurley type of cash?
See, I don't think so either, because the Chargers are playing hardball with Melvin Gordon. They're not they're more stiff negotiating than Jerry Jones is. So
Right.
that trade's probably not ever going to happen. I mean,
So what NFL team out there do you think would give Ezekiel Elliott Todd Gurley type of cash?
there's a few out there. I think the Colts would.
Okay.
I think the Dolphins would. I mean, you're talking
Even with the Colts' young tailback that they got this last year, he was a rookie
Marlon
last
Mack.
year. Yeah.
Marlon Mack. They'd have to give us Marlon Mack and take Ezekiel Elliott, and we'll take a third round pick,
Okay.
or something like that, or a second round pick.
Right.
The Dolphins, they'd have to give us Kenyon Drake and a first round. I mean, they'd have to give us a running back. And so this is, we can talk about different trade scenarios, but this is, we got 2 weeks, and this is going to get really, really serious.
Yeah. So let me ask you this.
Yeah, there you go. The agent's name is Rocky Arsenault. So I knew his last name was Arsenault. I didn't know his first name was Rocky. Okay.
Right. Rocky.
It's,
There you
Rocky
go.
Arsenault's agent. Yeah.
So would you trade with the Jacksonville Jaguars and take Leonard Fournette with his history that he's starting to have?
Great question. I'd have to get a second round pick.
Okay.
Like it couldn't be like Leonard Fournette and a fifth round pick or something ridiculous. Second round pick is a pretty high pick. Like that's a premium pick. Like that's Jacksonville. That's probably going to be in the 40s.
How about this?
That's a good pick.
Let me lay this on you. Leonard Fournette and Nick Foles for Zeke. Because we need a backup quarterback and we need a tailback.
Yeah, but Nick Foles won't come in and be a backup. That's why he's not a backup there. I mean, Nick Foles wants his own team.
Okay.
So there's no way Nick Foles wouldn't even adhere to that trade. He'd walk. He basically would be Nick Foles' agent would tell Dallas, don't make that trade unless I'm replacing Dak Prescott.
Which is not going to happen.
Right.
Let's be totally honest on that situation. So this is me looking and reading between the lines. Like, I've not heard this from anybody. I haven't read anything or whatsoever. But the way Jerry Jones is kind of jokingly saying Zeke who, and then Zeke's agent raging this big controversy that is arising, tells me that Zeke and Jerry Jones want to make a deal, but the agent is asking for more cash. So like the agent says, we want this deal, and this deal, but I think Jerry knows Zeke wants to be on the field. Zeke, wants to make that $12-13 million a year, and Zeke wants to win a Super Bowl. So I think Jerry making light of the situation just upset the agent, because the agent is playing hardball, but Zeke wants to be in a Cowboys uniform. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he doesn't want that to happen. So maybe it's time for the agent just to kick rocks and we hire or Zeke hires Drew, who is Terrell Owens Drew
Rosenhaus.
Agent. Yeah. So just hire one of those big profile name agents,
That's also Antonio Brown's agent. Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, look, man, somebody's got to get in Zeke's ear and say, hey, man,
it has to be Dak. mean, it has to be
Be, be,
Dak.
being with the Cowboys is pretty cool stuff, man. If we make history with the Cowboys, you could not only be on the cover of Sports Illustrated, you'll be on the cover of Time magazine.
Right.
You go ahead and you go to Tennessee Titans and we'll never hear from you again. You'll have a few 1,400-yard seasons and you'll ride off into Tennessee's nothing. You'll know you won't even be on the
Example,
cover.
DeMarco Murray.
Yeah, a great example. Great example. And Zeke has more talent than
Right.
DeMarco Murray. Don't ruin this, Zeke. That's what I would tell him. Don't ruin this, man.
Right.
Take the Le'Veon Bell contract.
And win a Super Bowl this year. Break this
and
curse
can you
or
imagine if
slide
you
or
got
whatever.
you got back in the good graces of the people and everybody loves you and all this stuff. Imagine you're making the Le'Veon Bell money and then you get all those extra endorsements from making
Right.
the Super Bowl and all that. Are you kidding me?
Going to Disney
You're
World. Boom.
You're a Dallas Cowboy.
Yeah, the biggest issue that surrounds Zeke is all the off-field stuff that he had that issue with pulling down the girl's shirt, running over the security guard, and there's countless other small incidents. And prove yourself that you will be a professional athlete during off season, then maybe you can ask for Todd Gurley money. But it is what it is. So let's go ahead and transition. Still in this running back position here, but yesterday, breaking news from ESPN: Cedric Benson was killed in an accident. You being a Texas Longhorn fan yourself, Cedric Benson did really good things for Texas, for the Chicago Bears as well. What is your greatest memory of Cedric Benson?
Wow. You're talking about one of the greatest high school running backs of all time. He I think at Midland Lee here in Texas, he started like all 4 years and took his team to 3 straight state championships. The most highly touted running back coming out in 2001. And then he didn't disappoint with the Longhorns. He had over 5,500 yards and 64 touchdowns. The man was an absolute beast. He was there every game. The man brought it. And I think he would have had a better career had he not been drafted by the Bears, and then he went to Cincinnati, and he actually had like 3,000-yard seasons with Cincinnati. You put him on a bet. Sometimes when players are drafted, it depends on who drafts you and your career and your career projection. So no, I mean I don't even know if I have a favorite memory. I mean he just ran his ass off. I mean he was there every time. I mean. He has more yards. He's second to Ricky Williams. He has more yards than Earl Campbell, at Texas. I mean, the dude didn't disappoint at all. He was there every game. Yeah, I mean, dude, greatest high school running back maybe I've ever seen out of Midland Lee. So, I mean, it's disappointing. He's always been, a little – he never did anything terrible or anything, I don't think. But he's always been a little, he beats to his own drum, Cedric Benson. And, man, I just – I just hate that the accident, dude, on a motorcycle. I mean, listen, I will never ride a motorcycle. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, my uncles almost got killed, and I mean, people can't see you in your blind spots, man. They can barely see a big car, let alone a freaking motorcycle, man. I just, if I ever see many of my daughters on the back of the motorcycle, yeah, I'll pull them over like I'm the cops, man.
Right. Yeah,
so, it's just bad news, man.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely sucks. I mean, like, my dad is a president of a fight club for the Army for PTSD. So, like, he just took a 3-week trip he went from Kansas to my house here in Indiana down to Florida up the coast and, like, back around. And I didn't hear from him for, like, 6 or 7 days because he was just out. And it's definitely a scary atmosphere when you know somebody that you love is out on a bike and you just don't hear from them. But definitely our thoughts and prayers go out to the Cedric Benson family, the Chicago Bears, Texas, all those people that had a part of his life. Definitely, hopefully you guys are finding peace going to the funeral and that kind of thing later today. So now that that's out of the way, I had to say that piece like I thought. That was definitely a big thing that happened yesterday. But also what happened yesterday was Antonio Brown filed another grievance with the NFL about his helmet, saying that he did not have proper time to go find a new helmet. Like I said, yesterday. I think this whole helmet issue is just a smokescreen about like about his feet, and he just doesn't want to be in training camp, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Is this helmet gate situation, this whole helmet situation period, is this going to put asterisks by his career of like when you think of Antonio Brown, are you going to think of his crazy career that he had with the Steelers or this whole helmet issue?
It doesn't help. I tell you that. Yeah, I mean, this is not helping, and he's supposed to be known as this hard worker and all this stuff.
I haven't seen it at all.
Yeah, we haven't seen it. This is not helping. Okay, this will hurt if he's not there for week 1. Then he'll look like a freaking clown.
Yes,
this will really hurt. But if he gets his butt in there, week before the games or maybe 2 weeks before the games, into September, or like right there at the end, like he misses the last preseason game, maybe the day after the last preseason game, whether that's August 29th on Thursday night or whatever, he gets his butt in there, and he gets ready for week 1. I don't think it'll hurt him, and then he performs. But he fools around with this stuff, and we got talking about foot gate and helmet gate and all this crap, and then he misses games.
Right.
Think about that. We'll move on, and then he'll look silly because the games take care of themselves. There's no one person bigger in a game of football. Week 1, we won't even mention Antonio Brown anymore. We'll be talking about, how many interceptions did Russell Wilson or Jared Goff throw, or the first rookies. We'll be talking about
right.
Antonio Brown will be a footnote. That was just the offseason crap. But I mean, so it'll hurt him if he's not there week 1. It's definitely would hurt his legacy, absolutely, because then he'd be a clown show.
Yeah. I've heard the same thing you have. Like Antonio Brown works so hard in the offseason, and like you see his Instagram stories of him catching balls in these goggles and like stuff like that. But you never really you never heard any off-field stuff in Pittsburgh with Mike Tomlin and the Steelers organization. Right. So does this tell me that Mike Tomlin was just keeping everything away from the press? Saying, "Hey, Antonio, you do you. I'll take care of you. Just don't say anything. If you don't want to practice, it's cool. Just show up to the games." Like, do you think Mike Tomlin would do something just like this? Because like we saw it at the end of the season last year when he didn't show up for practice when they were battling for a playoff spot. They had to beat Cincinnati to get into an opportunity to get into the playoffs, and he didn't even show up to practice. And then it became a big deal. So does Mike Tomlin always cover for him, and just like maybe Chucky is not covering for him, or the Raiders organization?
Look, he was a hard worker. Mike Tomlin probably was putting up with his foolishness, but he was a hard worker at some points. I mean, that's why he got to be who he is, and that's why his stats are unbelievable. But so Mike Tomlin probably did, and they probably is enough's enough. Le'Veon Bell and that little sideshow there, and then with the Antonio Brown thing. So yeah, I mean, Mike Tomlin also allowed a lot of stuff, but we're seeing this manifest into Mr. Diva, a little bit like a Terrell Owens.
Right.
So let's hope this ends pretty soon, because if not, your original question, this will hurt his legacy. If this doesn't end by week 1, this will start to hurt his legacy. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if he's not in a Raiders uniform by week 1, I think the Raiders organization is going to just ask him to leave. Be like, you know what, we're not going to pay you the $30 million, and we'll eat that 3rd round pick, and we'll just move on. So, I mean, like,
that's crazy.
I think that's just the way it has to be. Now, as a Chiefs fan, all for it. All for it. I don't want to see that talent on the field twice. Yeah. I don't want to see it. But speaking of talent on the field, the college football rankings, preseason rankings came out yesterday. Just to review the top 10 here. At number 1, we have Clemson. Number 2, Alabama. Number 3, Georgia. Number 4, Oklahoma. Number 5, the Ohio State, since the is now incorporated with their name. Number 6, LSU. 7, Michigan. 8, Florida. 9, Notre Dame. And 10, Texas. So my question to you, Marcus, off the top of your head, out of those top 25 teams or teams in general that are not in the top 10, who has the best chance of making the college football playoff this year?
Now, you just said the top 10, right?
Correct.
So you're talking about somebody outside the top 10.
Outside the top 10.
I didn't hear you mention Pac-12, did you?
I don't think there's any Pac-12 teams in there.
No,
Yeah,
there's not, right?
Oregon's sitting at number 11. They're the highest ranked.
Yeah, I had Oregon at 13 on the coaches poll. You're looking at AP.
Yes.
Okay, I got Oregon. Okay, 13th is in the coaches poll. I might have to go Oregon because I don't really see a lot of top people outside 11 through 25 going to crash it. It's not as much parity as people might think. Oregon, if they run the table, they might get in. They're the only Pac-12 team that may have a shot at Washington. Maybe, I'm not sure. Stanford, Coach Shaw there. I'm going to go Oregon because of the quarterback play and because of the offensive line. That offensive line is as good as it gets in college football. There'll be some draftable players there. You'll see some Oregon offensive linemen in the NFL next year, whether they're undrafted free agents or drafted late, that will have a shot at the NFL because they're really, really good up front. And they're protecting Justin Herbert, who can throw that rock like nobody's business. I am shocked he draft. He's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, who went 6th overall to the New York Giants in this past NFL draft. Justin Herbert is the real deal. And the big test for Justin and the big test for that offensive line is August 31st when they have to go against Auburn's defensive line. Michael, if somehow they can get by Auburn's defensive line and beat Auburn, an SEC team, and then run that table in that Pac-12, that's their toughest games. I think it's at Stanford, at Washington, and Auburn. If they can win those 3 games, I think they'll find themselves in the college football playoff. Even if it's some people will consider it a weak schedule, they'll find themselves 4th. You can't beat Auburn and run the table as a Pac-12 team, even how weak it is, and then go on the road and beat Washington and Stanford and all those teams you have to beat, and then sit there being 12 or 13-0, and they're going to put you in at 3rd or 3 or 4. So I think they have a really good shot because of the quarterback and that offensive line. So I think Oregon could crash that top 4, maybe get in at 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on the whole Oregon situation. If they beat Auburn and they do run the table, there should be no reason why they're not in the top 4, because the media puts the SEC football at such a high pedestal that anytime you beat a SEC team, that it's like hell has frozen over. So but people have to realize that the ACC is so top heavy, and then the rest of the teams are like horrible. So when you beat an SEC team, yeah, it's great, but the SEC conference is not great top to bottom. So with that being said, you have to look at a team from the Big 12. Maybe I'm a little biased, maybe, but Iowa State. Iowa State has a perfect opportunity to do great things in the Big 12, possibly go undefeated, and they play 2 top 10 teams, 2 preseason top 10 teams in Oklahoma and Texas. And if I remember correctly, they're both at home too. So great opportunity for Iowa State to run the table in the Big 12. If you beat Oklahoma and Texas in the same season, there should be no reason why you are not in the top 4 if you run the table, I should say. So Iowa State has the perfect opportunity to be that dark horse. I think right now they're sitting about 22, 23 range. They could easily catapult up there real fast with some really big wins versus Oklahoma and Texas.
I agree. I think they're the 3rd best team in the Big 12. Even if they lost Oklahoma and Texas, they still would be the 3rd best. But if they can win those games, I like Coach Campbell. They have a really good quarterback in Purdy, and man, they've got a good team. Now they lost a couple of key. They lost Hakeem Butler to the NFL and David Montgomery. Their running back. They're running back to the NFL. But I'm with you. You got that coach and quarterback right there that they have, that Iowa State has. Yes. Absolutely. They have a good shot. They have a good shot as anybody.
And it is something about the Iowa Division I teams. I'm talking about Iowa and Iowa State. You can never count them out of anything. They are always in the mix, and almost in every sport. In basketball, and baseball, softball, track, it doesn't matter. They're almost always in every top 25 sport. That's it, right? But you know what I meant. So now out of the top 10 teams in the AP poll, which team do you see being the biggest disappointment out of the top 10 that I just named?
Holy sh! Man, maybe Oklahoma. Is Oklahoma in that top 10?
Yeah, they're number
I
4.
mean, there's uncertainty there. I mean, I don't know how good Jalen Hurts is going to be. I mean, we've seen it at Alabama, but I don't know how. We'll see how he picks up the system. I mean, it's they're passing a lot, and he didn't do a whole lot of passing in Oklahoma. I mean at Alabama he did, but we'll see. I mean, this is new stuff. Oklahoma's defense is not great. They do get some blue chip athletes, some top recruits, but it's never been great.
Right.
I think Texas can beat them. I think Texas can handle them with Ellinger in them. So I think Oklahoma could disappoint. Oklahoma could lose to Iowa State and Texas, and absolutely, that's a disappointment. So Oklahoma, I find them.
Yeah, I have to say Notre Dame because
Okay. I almost said Notre Dame.
Yeah, say they have 3 things against them. For one, they're not in a conference, so if if they stumble in the year, they lose 1, 2, or 3 games, they cannot make up by playing a big opponent in the conference championship. That is 1 and 2. Number 3, looking at their schedule, 7 of their 12 games come off of teams coming off of a bye week, so they have 2 weeks to prepare for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And I don't care what you say, when you have 2 weeks to prepare for a college football team, you have an opportunity to win every week. And then also looking at their schedule, they played Georgia week 3. Georgia's a very, very tough team. They have been in the national championship conference or talk each year.
Yeah.
Then they play a number 7 ranked Michigan team, and then a number 25 ranked Stanford team. So there's possibility of 3 to 4 losses right there, right off the bat. And if they lose 1, they're going to be knocked out because they don't have that conference championship game to boost that ego up or to boost that what's the word I'm looking for?
Right.
Sexiness,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So. Yeah. I almost said Notre Dame. Tough schedule.
Yeah.
I almost said Notre Dame, but I wanted to pick somebody in conference. But yeah, you're right there. Notre Dame might have been my second one. Good choice. Yeah.
Yeah. So now college football starts this next week, I think, on Thursday, right?
Saturday or something. Yeah, absolutely.
Saturday. Yeah. So less than 4 or 5 days, college football season kicks off. Football is finally underway, but NFL is where it's at, man. Last month or so, we've been breaking down schedules, and today's going to be no different. Today we're breaking down the Pittsburgh Steelers in that AFC North. Yeah, yesterday we broke down the Cleveland Browns. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Week number 1, we have Pittsburgh Steelers losing to New England at New England. Week number 2, first matchup that we're going to pick, the Seattle Seahawks at home. Who do you got?
Pittsburgh will beat Seattle. I'm just not a believer in Seattle anymore. No more Legion of Boom. Defense has gone awry. Traded Frank Clark. No, I'm just not a big believer in Seattle anymore. Russell Wilson's, we talked about that. Russell Wilson's taking up a nice little percentage of that cap, and I just don't see anything getting better for Seattle. They'll pull some games out their ass because they have a really good quarterback in a 2-minute drill. Right. Other than that, no. Pittsburgh will beat this.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh will win.
Let me just re-speak here. Week 1, I have Pittsburgh going to New England and beating New England Patriots. Week 2, I have them beating Seattle as well because exactly what you just said. They're paying their quarterback way too much money. They're paying so between a quarterback and a linebacker, they're giving them 22% of the salary cap. Right. This year they might pull out some games. Next year, 3-13. Look out. Week number 3, Pittsburgh Steelers take on the San Francisco 49ers at Levi Stadium. Who do you got?
I got San Francisco in this one. I think San Francisco will pull it out. I like what San Francisco is doing. Pittsburgh will lose this game.
So when you say you like what San Francisco is doing, you like Jimmy G throwing a bunch of interceptions and going 1 for 6 for 0 yards?
Yeah, I mean, he's coming off the ACL.
Yeah, right.
That's not really him. No, I got you. He looked terrible. But and that was very weird to me to see that. But that's coming off the ACL. We'll see how he responds. He didn't respond to his feet weren't the same. He had some Romo type feet.
Right.
Tony Romo has some of the best feet I've ever seen. Jumping in and out of pockets and stuff, like jumping in and out of trouble. You know that, the spin moves and all the stuff. Romo had the feet. And Jimmy G had some of that stuff. He may as well have had my feet in this last game.
Yeah,
So yeah,
he looked
you're
like he
right.
was running. Looks like he was running in like sand, just a tad bit.
Yeah, that's
Just to
concerning to me.
just to add to some points here though, I've been in a Facebook fight for about a week and a half, like half now, saying people are saying that Jimmy G is the greatest quarterback, yada yada yada, and I'm telling you, there's a reason why Bill Belichick agreed to trade him. He traded Matt Hassel like after that great couple games that he had. He really screwed the Kansas City Chiefs like in that deal. There's a reason why he said traded Jimmy Jean too. Bill Belichick knows his players. He knows their worth ethic, yada yada yada. But
Yeah.
but with all that being said, I do have San Francisco winning Week 3. I believe it's their first home game. So the crowd's going to be rocking. It's going to be hot down there in California, so they
Yeah.
get the win. Week 4, Pittsburgh's at home taking on the Cincinnati Bengals.
No, I'll take Pittsburgh in this one. This one they'll beat Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati is pretty much trash without AJ Green.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Next week at home again, take on the Baltimore Ravens.
Man, this used to be one of my favorite games to watch. Like game of the week type stuff, man. They would knock the crap out of each other, man. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, that's must see TV. It's still pretty good, not like it was in the past, but no, but I'll have Pittsburgh beating Baltimore in this game.
Yeah, I have Pittsburgh beating Baltimore at home as well, and yeah, they may not have the big names like they used to have Ed Reed and versus Troy Polamalu versus Ray Lewis versus the Bus, like all that stuff. But they still don't like each other. It's still a division game. It's still going to be a very very close game, 16-13 type
Yeah.
of matchup here. Next week, the Steelers travel to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Who do you got?
I got the Chargers. The Chargers will win this one. Steelers are due for a loss here.
Yeah, we actually did already pick that game, so I had the Chargers winning that game as well, catapulting them into the bye week where they play Miami. We had them both beating Miami. Next week they play the Colts. We had them both beating the Colts, giving us our next game back at home, take on the LA Rams. Who do you got?
I got the Steelers in this one. Rams coming to town. I'll take the Steelers.
Yeah, I'll take the Steelers as well, as I do think the Rams are going to be very, very well. Possibly 12-4, 11-5 type of thing here. Just it's hard to go into Heinz Field. It's hard to play just in Pittsburgh in general. So the next week, possible game of the week here. They're at Cleveland. We have them both losing to Cleveland, giving us a next week matchup. Take on the Cincinnati Bengals at Cincinnati.
Oh man, this is a tough one for me. You know what? I'll have them beating Cincinnati.
You have them beating Cincinnati. I had them losing to Cincinnati because I don't
Okay.
think Cincinnati is going to lose every game. So
Right.
and what better way to play a spoiler for the Pittsburgh Steelers to make them battle for that the division championship? Then the next week they're playing Cleveland again. We hate those back-to-back games. We have them
Right.
both beating Cleveland, giving us a matchup at Arizona. Who do you got?
Arizona. I mean, excuse me. Pittsburgh will go in Arizona and beat them. Man, Arizona's. Yeah, I just don't see Arizona doing too much this year.
Yeah, I watched Kyler Murray's preseason games, and I'm not impressed. So
They got a
so
long
far.
way to go.
Yes, I do have Pittsburgh winning this game, and they're going to kind of make a statement like we are a team to reckon with in the AFC. Next week they're back at home taking on Buffalo. We have them both beating Buffalo.
What? Yeah, I have them. What do I have them at now in the final 2 weeks?
Yeah, you have them beating or losing to the Jets. I had them beating the Jets, giving us a Week 17 matchup at Baltimore.
What do I have their record at so far?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 5.
Okay, they've already lost the division to Cleveland, so I think this will be one of those games where they might need to make this to a wild card, or they might even just rest people. There might be a wild card team already, so they might just rest people against Baltimore and not even really show up and just go 10-6. So I have them losing at Baltimore.
I have them beating Baltimore because I have them going. Well, what is it? I had them going 11-4 going into this final game where it is a must win because I had Cleveland going 10-6. So it is a must win to get that home playoff game in the second round. So they will finish the season 12-4, beating Baltimore and beating them soundly. knocking Baltimore out of the playoffs,
Right.
I think. So you have them going 10-6. Are there
Yeah.
any games that you're going to circle on the game sheet here that's saying this is a must win? If you guys lose this game, this 10-6 record is out the window, and we're going to be 8-8.
Well, they can't fool around at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's always played them tough. I have them winning there.
Yep.
You can't fool around there because you'll mess around and lose the division. Um, and like a swing game, I have them losing at the Chargers. But if they could somehow go in there and beat the Chargers, man, then they could win the division.
Yeah. Yeah. LA Coliseum is where the Chargers are playing at, or I'm sorry,
Right.
yeah, it is LA Coliseum where they're playing at. It's really not a home
Right.
field advantage for the Chargers yet because they don't have their own stadium. So I could definitely see Steelers going in there and handling business versus the Chargers because the Steelers defense is still pretty darn good, even
It
though
is.
even though they lost Ryan Shazier to the neck injury a couple years ago, but they're
Yes.
an expired team. And
Well, they drafted Devin Bush to replace Ryan Shazier, and that's all they needed.
right,
To be honest, I think their defense is pretty damn good. I mean, led by Cameron Hayward up at front.
you're right.
He's near J.J. Watt ability, not there. J.J. Watt's a 10, Cameron Hayward's a 9. They got the pass rushers. I like Bud Dupree. So I mean T.J. Watt, man, the freaking Dallas Cowboys blew that one. That's one of their ones that they've blown in a
Yeah,
while.
yeah, you're right.
T.J. Watt was staring them in the face, and they took number 33 from Michigan, the Taco Charlton,
Yeah, you're right.
and J.J. Watt with those that you see what his brother does, right? You see how hard his brother plays the motor. T.J. Watt's all over the place at Pittsburgh. He's all over the field. You know what I mean? He's like a little mini version of Van Der Esch, and the Cowboys blew that one. They could have had T.J. Watt.
Yeah, you're
So,
right.
but yeah, but what Cowboys lost is Pittsburgh's gains. So, so T.J. Watt's the real deal, man. I like their defense. I really do.
Yeah, and just to add to your point here, their roster is pretty set here, but this team is also they are expired or they are going to play well for their coach because their
Right.
coach has taken so much heat with the Le'Veon Bell situation and the Antonio Brown
Yeah.